Today I'm going to go over something that is very important to me and why I believe it is so important to everyone listening and everyone throughout the world, really. The topic is cannabidiol or CBD. So I stumbled across CBD about 4 years ago while personal training. I've been personal training for about a decade now. I started when I was 22. I'm 32 now, so have been doing it most of my adult life. When I first learned about CBD, I did not know much about it. I was very um, uninformed. I thought CBD was something that got you high, something that only stoners use, and there wasn't any medicinal benefits whatsoever. So the first product that was introduced to me or given to me was from a fellow friend and personal trainer. And he had a CBD infused honey stick, which was kind of unique to me. You can use this product in tea, coffee, or you can just take it all by itself. So I took the product home, and at the time I was still skeptical. So when I got home, my brother-in-laws were over, and I told them about it, and I didn't want to get high, and they thought maybe it would get them high. And we all have that brother-in-law or sister-in-law or friend or relative that likes to partake or smoke that wacky tobacco, right? So they took it with them when they left, and I asked them the next day how it made them feel. And to my surprise, they said that it didn't do anything to them. It didn't get them high. I'm like, wow. I was very surprised. So this led me to doing some research. I thought maybe it was just a fluke. But then I learned that CBD does not get you high. And in fact, it has a bunch of benefits, like anti-anxiety and inflammation. And at the time, I was training clients that suffer with anxiety and inflammation of the gut specifically. So I invested in some CBD, and after learning more about it, and I decided that, hey, if this works as good as what I'm reading and learning, it's going to help my clients too. So I gave some of my clients, two of them specifically, some CBD for them to start taking after our workouts. And again, to my surprise, it helped them feel better mentally and even look better physically. Their inflammation in their gut started to go down and they started losing weight. So this really sparked a passion or obsession within me, which led me to where I am today, where I'm consulting people, helping people start CBD businesses, and learn all about CBD. I'm going to go over 5 different topics today with you. I'm going to go over what is CBD, benefits of CBD, our endocannabinoid system, dosing with CBD, and the different forms of delivery. The first topic I'm going to cover is what is CBD. I'm going to cover what CBD is, how it affects you, what it looks like, and the plants that CBD is derived from. CBD is one of the active ingredients. CBD is short for cannabidiol, and is part of the cannabis plant. Cannabis being both hemp and marijuana. Really, the biggest definition or difference between hemp and marijuana is the THC level. The legal definition of hemp is that it has less than 0.3% THC. Now, CBD is being researched throughout the world for its medicinal properties. A huge influence in this research is because of people like you and me. They're just tired of pharmaceutical drugs and its negative side effects. They're destroying people's lives. Now, CBD is just not limited to the cannabis plant, hemp and marijuana. CBD has also been found in hops, dark chocolate, and even breast milk. We all know that breast milk is phenomenal for our newborns. Some theories believe that unless it is derived from marijuana, it is not effective, which cannot be further from the truth. CBD is CBD, no matter where it comes from. Just like water has the same molecular structure, whether you get it from Lake Erie or Lake Michigan. Once you process and make it a single molecule, it's the same. But there is argument whether it's a full plant extract or full spectrum extract from marijuana or hemp versus a single molecule, CBD isolate. That's a whole other conversation itself, but there's definitely a difference in effectiveness and its ability to work on certain ailments, whether it be sleep, pain, anxiety, epilepsy. But that's, like I said, a whole other presentation in itself that I'd be more than happy to go over. Now, CBD is non-psychoactive, which is mostly true, but it will not give you the same euphoric feeling that THC, the cousin of CBD, gives. The reason I say it's mostly true is because CBD, when you ingest it, inhale it, however you consume it, does relax the mind. So some kids say that is altering your state of mind slightly. So some people interpret that as a psychoactive effect. Now, CBD stimulates the endocannabinoid system, so this is another benefit. Now, our endocannabinoid system, or our ECS for short, is one of the most amazing systems in our body. Our ECS is a set of receptors throughout our body that, when fed with cannabinoids like CBD, it helps the receptors work properly. This amazing, sophisticated system is the reason CBD helps so well, which I'm going to cover here further in this presentation. Now, my next topic that I'm going to cover are the many benefits of CBD. It's time to discuss the benefits of CBD. Now, there's a lot of them. More benefits than you can count on your fingers and your toes. So I will keep this as brief but as detailed as possible, so you can really learn what CBD can do for you. So before I even get into all the benefits, I'm going to talk about a theory that was before Prohibition happened in the 1900s. It's theorized that we did not have all the illnesses and diseases that we have today. Migraines, epilepsy, anxiety, PTSD, ADD, ADHD, autism, and insomnia. Now, there's been a term coined, the endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome. It basically means that our bodies have been devoid of cannabinoids. CBD is a cannabinoid that comes from the cannabis plant. Now, one reason that there is this theory that we have all of these illnesses and diseases today is because After Prohibition in the early 1900s, we could not grow hemp. So therefore, hemp was not in our food source anymore. Because before that, farmers, in the 1700s, were legally required to grow hemp. Heck, Thomas Jefferson wrote the draft of the Declaration of Independence on hemp paper. All right, so now let's talk about the benefits of CBD. Gave you a little bit of history. Now I want to talk about the benefits and what some research is saying. So, according to the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology, CBD has been shown to have the following medical properties. 1, it being an anticonvulsant. 2, antipsychotic. 3, antidepressant. 4, anti-inflammatory. And 5, antioxidant. Now, there's many more than these, but these are the 5 main ones that I'm going to go over. So, the first one, anticonvulsant. Now, there's a story of a little girl named Charlotte Figge. I'm sorry if I got her name wrong, but Charlotte Figge was a young girl, just a toddler, that got diagnosed with a horrible form of epilepsy called Dravet syndrome. Dravet syndrome is where a person has massive seizures multiple times a day. In this case, Charlotte had upwards towards 300 grand mal seizures a week. Every single week. I couldn't imagine being the parents of her. Now I have a 3-month-old and a 3-year-old boys, and I could not imagine seeing them suffer like that. It would break my heart. So Charlotte's mom searched high and low for a solution for Charlotte, and she kept coming to a dead end. No one could help her. She's exhausted all of her resources. Doctors didn't know what to do. Medication wasn't working. Until finally, she did some research on cannabis. It was the last thing, and it was a Hail Mary for her. So she started studying up on CBD and learned that it was an anticonvulsant that can help with seizures. So she searched for someone that could extract this from the plant. She knew that she needed a high CBD, low THC, very low THC strain. She found someone that was able to help her. They extracted a high CBD, very low THC strain. And after using it, Charlotte went from having 300 seizures a week to only having 2 or 3 seizures a month. And she mainly had them when she was sleeping. So the quality of her life increased dramatically from taking cannabis. Another benefit of CBD is that it's antipsychotic and an antidepressant. In addition to that, it's an anti-inflammatory. Now, this one really drives home with me. It is known that chronic inflammation is assigned to many diseases. If we can reduce this, we reduce disease. So inflammation is not just good for those who suffer from arthritic joints and are in pain, but it's good for athletes. It's just good for overall wellness and recovery. Lastly, CBD is an antioxidant. Now, the government actually has a patent on CBD. It's patent number 6630507. The title is Cannabinoids as Antioxidants and Neuroprotectants. So, it's definitely known that CBD has lots of medicinal value. Since it is a neuroprotectant, it can help reduce diseases like Parkinson's. That it just seems like it's so prevalent nowadays. Now, I mentioned one thing earlier, that there's a term called endocannabinoid deficiency. Now, this is important for you to consider as I go through my next slide. The next slide is going to be on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. The ECS is the system that is going to help us understand why CBD works with so many things. ECS is one of the single most important systems in our body. The endocannabinoid system. Say that 10 times fast. So the ECS for short is an absolute amazing system. It is the most important system in our body. This system shows that our bodies are designed for cannabis, and cannabis designed for our bodies. Our ECS is said to be one of the most important physiological systems to our health. The ECS was actually discovered in 1990, the early 1990s, by Dr. Raphael Mechoulam. Now, the ECS affects everything from our appetite, our ability to feel, our autonomic nervous system, our energy, immune system, memory, metabolism, sleep, stress, and our body's ability just to regulate temperature. Now, our ECS consists of receptors all throughout our body called CBD1 and CB2 receptors. When we supplement with cannabinoids like CBD, it allows our cells to work properly. Since our bodies are made up of groups of cells, it is vital that these work properly. Now, to sum up both the CB1 and CB2 receptors and where they're found, the CB1 receptors are found predominantly in the brain, and the CB2 receptors are found within or throughout the immune system. Now, the ECS main function is to regulate homeostasis. Now, this is so important to our health. To understand homeostasis a little bit better, I'll talk about an analogy that I heard from a talk I listened to that likened homeostasis to a baby mobile. Now, picture the baby mobile being perfectly balanced as it spins around and around But if we were to add some weight to it on one side, it's not going to keep spinning as well. It's going to be off balance. And it's not going to keep flowing in a smooth fashion. That weight that was added or clamped on that I'm talking about can be the pharmaceutical drug that masks a symptom and add weight to it, put it off balance. Now, as the baby mobile keeps spinning, just gets more and more off balanced, which then leads to us taking another pharmaceutical drug to try to balance it out so that it runs or spins smoothly. This process goes on and on until we just have a bunch of artificial weights. And we keep adding these weights on until our body just cannot handle it anymore, and something catastrophic happens. Now, when we take CBD, it keeps the baby mobile spinning perfectly without artificial weights because it's balanced. CBD restores our body's natural functions. It does not mask symptoms. It heals us. Now, one thing that you'll notice that CBD is going to do, what a lot of people experience when they start taking it, is they start to get tired initially. Well, they'll start getting better sleep because our body's initial response when it's trying to heal itself a lot of times is to sleep. When you sleep, your body naturally heals itself. So that's one of the first stages that happen when you start to take CBD. Now, this leads me into my next topic: dosing. Now that we talked about the endocannabinoid system, or the ECS, it's now time to talk about how we can optimize that ECS. And we can only do that by making sure that we use the optimal amount of CBD, or supplement with these cannabinoids. So the ECS is a bunch of receptors throughout our body. Now, look at dosing in the body as if the body has holes in it. And in order to stimulate or optimize the ECS, these holes that are inside our body, they need to be filled properly. And once they get filled by dosing, good things start happening. We just need to find out what that perfect dose is for us, which is one of the most important and critical parts of using CBD, because I firmly believe that CBD can help everyone. But just as with any medicine, it is important to find the right dose. So it's going to take a little bit of experimenting, some trial and error, but the good news is that people have taken very high doses. So if you're afraid that you might take too much and overdose, people have taken really high doses, upwards towards 1 gram at a time, without any ill effects. So don't be concerned about taking too much. Now, it's important that you track and monitor your progress as you start dosing with CBD. So start out with a set amount, say 15 milligrams. From there, gauge your body. Say on a scale of 1 to 10, it took 15 milligrams. Say you're using it for pain. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being that pain is excruciating, 1 being no pain at all. So you start off, you're at an 8. You take 15 milligrams. You went down to a 7. Well, we know we're on the right track. Now, it could be that you just needed supplement with it at 15 milligrams a couple times a day, and do this for about a week so that you can fill up these holes. Or you can maybe fill these holes quicker and take a little bit more. So increase with microdoses by 2.5 to 5 milligrams at a time. Now, some people, they want concrete numbers. They want to know how much to take, when to take it, and how to take it. There's actually a very common chart on the internet that I have included that takes into consideration your weight and the severity of your symptom. So for example, if you weigh 151 pounds, between 151 and 240 pounds, and say your condition is considered severe, the chart recommends that you start off at 27 milligrams of CBD. Now, I would take this 2 to 3 times a day and continue to microdose until you find that perfect dose, if that did not give you the relief you were looking for. Now, one other thing to take in consideration when taking CBD is that CBD, although it doesn't have any real ill side effects known, does have some drug interactions. It has been shown to interact with cytochrome P450. This is a system within our liver that helps metabolize different drugs. So it could make, if we're on prescription meds, it can make them to where they're not as effective and our body just can't utilize them. So it's important to consult with your doctor beforehand and find out if the CBD is going to be right for you, or if you should stop taking your meds, or if it's okay to take both your current meds and CBD together. Now, in order to find the right dose, you need to know how much you're taking. So it's important that we know how to read the label. Most labels, or most bottles, tincture bottles for oil, are 1 ounce or 30 milliliters. Now the standard dropper size is 1 milliliter. So, for example, if a bottle contains 500 milligrams of CBD, that means each dropper full is going to have around 17 milligrams of CBD extract. Now, the exact amount is like 16.666. Now, to start off, if you want to gauge, you can start off with 10 milligrams. So to figure out what 10 milligrams is when taking a 500 milligram bottle, you would take 1 full dropper, which has 20 drops per milliliter. You would divide the 17 into 20, and when you do that, it would be around a little bit less than 1 milligram. So if you were to take around 12 drops, you would get about 10 milligrams of CBD from a 500 milligram dropper, 1 milliliter dropper. Next up is to talk about the different forms of delivery on how to use CBD. Now, we learned about how to read a label. We learned about how to dose with it. So now it's important that we find out the perfect way of ingesting CBD for us and what fits our goals and our needs. So we're going to talk about the 4 most common ways of using CBD. from vaping all the way to using edibles. How quick they absorb to how slow they absorb. So the first one I'm going to talk about is vaping. Vaping has gotten very popular over the course of these last several years. A lot of people use vaping or vape that suffer with anxiety. And the reason they use vape is because it gives instant relief. It actually breaks the blood-brain barrier. So when you're feeling anxious, a lot of times all you want to do is just get out of that state. And that's exactly what the vape will do for you. Instantaneous results. Now, although it does have benefits, it does not come without its drawbacks. So if you are very health conscious and very particular about what you're putting into your body, which I believe a lot of us are, you're not going to like putting vapor into your lungs. I know for me, the only thing I like putting in my lungs is the oxygen we breathe. Now, the next form of delivery is going to be with a tincture. Now, tinctures generally come in a 1 ounce or 30 ml bottle, but some are 2 ounce, some are 15. But most common is going to be a 1 ounce bottle. And it comes with a little pipette or dropper, sometimes measured. It will be measured a quarter, half, 3/4, or full milliliter. So you can measure how much CBD is in there at a time. You typically take that dropper and you can put, when it's filled with oil, you put it under your tongue for it to absorb through the lining of your mouth, under your tongue. Now, this is a very efficient way of ingesting CBD. This also breaks the blood-brain barrier, just like when vaping. But in addition to that, some of it still gets absorbed in your stomach, which when you absorb some in your stomach, you have the possibility of getting the CBD destroyed from your stomach acid. Now, this is the most common way of using CBD that there is right now. Very, very effective. So a benefit is that it's quick and efficient. A drawback or a con is that it can be an acquired taste. There's all different kinds of flavors and carriers that CBD is in, from MCT and CBD to hemp seed and CBD, grape seed and CBD. And then you have the difference between an isolated CBD compound that's virtually tasteless to a full spectrum, which is filled with flavonoids and different terpenes that some have an acquired taste that some people just don't like. So that would be a drawback from the tincture. Now, the next way of getting your CBD is topically. Topically, so it comes in a few different forms. It comes in creams, balms, gels, and a lot of times people use the topical form when they have pain in their joints, their muscles, skin conditions like psoriasis or just inflammation of the skin. Maybe they have acne. It works really good for localized areas. And if you're suffering from, say, arthritic joints, the relief that you get is a lot of times instantaneous. It's pretty quick, especially with a lot of products. Like, for example, one very popular one that we sell and make is our CBD freeze. And people have found that they get instant relief with that. It typically lasts for, at times up to 5 hours. So it can work instantly and last for a pretty long time. Now, just like with anything, there's pros and there's cons. So a pro is going to be that it can work for localized areas and give you pretty quick relief. lasts for a long time. Now, a drawback or a con is that it's still going to be used topically. Okay, and if you're truly trying to heal yourself, in my opinion, ingesting CBD is the best way to do that, because our bodies heal themselves from the inside out. The next way of ingesting CBD is through edibles and capsules. Edibles have become a very, very popular way of ingesting CBD for a couple of reasons. I think the main one is that it's convenient, and secondly, it tastes good. For a lot of people, I mean, it tastes much better than a tincture. Drawback is that a lot of these edibles, they can be filled with sugar, high fructose corn syrup, just things that can add to inflammation. Sugar itself can create an inflammatory response. So when taking CBD for health reasons, if you're trying to improve it, taking in a bunch of sugar is kind of combating that, in my opinion. Capsules are a very easy way of ingesting CBD. You get in your exact dose, because you can get them in 10 milligrams, 15 milligrams, 25 milligrams. The downfall, though, is that it's going in through our stomach. So our stomach acid can destroy a lot of the CBD. Then it needs to get processed through the liver. So, although convenient, the amount of CBD we absorb is going to be much less than if we were to use a tincture. To sum this up, I'd like to say, take CBD daily. 1 dose a day will keep the doctor away. If you'd like to connect with me after this presentation, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can put LinkedIn/Brian Lytle, or you can connect with me on Instagram. That would be Brian Lytle CBD, or you can connect with me on Facebook. Just look up Brian Lytle. I'd be happy to answer any questions, give you any advice, and help you out however possible. If you're looking for a great CBD product, there are many out there, many good and not so good. One I can definitely attest to is the Grow Networks. We make one of their products for them. It is the CBD infused with myrcene. It is a high strength, very good quality product, and I definitely recommend checking it out.